All right, everybody, what's going on? Welcome to the first installment of the Last Take Below the Belt Sports presents the Countdown to Baseball. We're going to have a nice video series leading up to opening day here. For episode 1, we got the Four Train Savages boys on. We got Rob and Tyler. Get them to spread their wings a little bit instead of just talking Yankees baseball. We're going to talk the entire American League. Boys, how we doing?
What's up, fellas? Excited to run it back, a little baseball talk.
What's good? Glad to be on, boys.
Before we start, I just got to say I used your Manscaped promo code, got the 20% off.
Let's go,
baby!
Right here, fantastic product.
Let's go.
Yeah, Nick, what are your reviews on it?
It manscapes very effectively.
It gets her done.
As much as we can say.
So let's get things started. We're talking American League. We'll start on a positive note. Who do you guys see as a team that maybe people aren't talking about, not giving enough love to, that you could see being better than what people expect? So who's a surprise team for you guys in the American League?
You want to kick it off, Rob?
Yeah, I'll kick it off. I was thinking about, I guess this would really kind of piss off some of the listeners, and I think we're all Yankee fans here, so it may piss us off. And I go back and forth with Tyler a little bit, but I do say that people are writing off the Tampa Bay Rays a little too soon for me. I understand that they lost 2 pitchers in Morton and Snell, God knows, me and Tyler and Nick and Rob, Kevin Cash just gets on our next nerve. But something about that organization for the past decade, it seemed like they have been very through and through sturdy and consistent with a lot of their managerial decisions. And they've just been, it's hard to just immediately write them off. Like when you look at who's in their division now, hot with Toronto, and obviously the Yankees being that were the favorites in the whole league when we're talking about the American League. But when you look at Tampa, yes, they lost those 2 starting pitchers, and there's some other areas that they've probably diminished in, but I'm just not ready to write them off just yet. I still think that as Yankee fans, and just looking at the rosters, comparing the two, you look at the Yankees as the clear favorite to win that division, and I believe they will. But they're going to be in the mix. They're going to be in the mix for the wild card. And with that bullpen, they can make some noise. So I'm just not ready to completely write them off at this moment.
Yeah, you make a great point, actually. I mean, I remember there's not as many guys on the team right now that are more notable names. Like last year, they obviously had the guys like Blake Snell, Charlie Morton, Glasnow. But remember when Blake Snell won his Cy Young? You really didn't know who he was at the beginning of the year. It was kind of halfway through the year, you're like, oh wait, what is this guy's stats? And then halfway through the year, he just kept getting better and better and better. And his stats just his ERA was at 2.5, then it went to 2.3, then it was at 1.7 by the end of the year. So they're gonna find someone like that. I'm on board with you. I think that where people are writing them off too soon. I'm one of those people. I don't think they're gonna be good, but I mean, I'm more of a hater against them because I just don't like them.
Yeah, I'm not ready to write them off. Just a little bit of PTSD. I think you're right, Rob. When you look at them and say they took away 2 of their 3 best starting pitchers, the Yankees are absolutely the clear-cut favorite over them, as they should be. But the Rays lineup is better than it's been in a long time. And on the pitching side, to what you said, Bert, they're just going to figure it out. I have no doubt that Luis Patino or Chris Archer is just going to have a Cy Young caliber season just because it's the Rays. And there's no backing to that other than it's just the Rays, and that's how they operate.
I forgot they got back Chris Archer.
Rays literally, they put their players in good positions to perform well all the time. And then Wander Franco's coming up as well.
Yeah.
He's going to
have one prospect in baseball. Yeah.
Yeah. He's going to absolutely piss on the ball. So all 3 you said, they literally just get it done. They figure it out and they get it done. So I like that, Rob.
Not trying to get you too mad, Tyler. I know it's Tampa. We just I don't know. They have a vibe to them in the organization that they're just very consistent and then just seem to do something every year. But I'm not ready to put them over the Yankees whatsoever, especially after the offseason stuff. So
I hear you.
Tyler, what about you? You got a surprise team?
Anyone
can surprise us?
I don't know if this is good, kind of a cop out, but I'm not going to sleep on the Angels this year, dude. I am a big Rendon fan. I think a full 162 game season with 2 of the top 5 to 7 hitters in baseball I think that's ridiculous. If Otani can kind of figure it out and he starts rolling on the mound, like who knows? I know, Rob, you're not the biggest Otani fan, but I heard in some recent reports his velocity was up there. So a lot of cool stuff to see from them. I like Bundy a little bit. I'm not going to lie. So if they're pitching can kind of figure it out, it's still so frustrating to talk about just because they spend no money on pitching. And it's so frustrating because I don't know about you guys, but just as a baseball fan, like I want to see Trout in the playoffs, dude. And I love it. Like Rendon's an easy guy to root for. They got Pujols again, obviously on his way out. But I think the Angels could do something. I wouldn't be surprised, but I wouldn't be surprised if they performed well. And I wouldn't be surprised if they were a 75-win team either.
Yeah, Tyler, I actually had the Angels written down for me as well. More, not even the fact, like all the reasons you pointed to are reasons why they could be, but more for the fact that I just want them to exceed my expectations.
Exactly.
The fact that I want to see Mike Trout in the playoffs. I don't care. Sure, I'm convincing myself that Jose Quintana is going to have a Cy Young year. He's going to return to whatever he was in 2015, 2016, more for the fact I don't think he will, but I want him.
Exactly. It's just a want. Like I'm tired of seeing. I have one buddy that I talk to pretty frequently in a Twitter group chat, and he's on the Mookie's better than Mike Trout train, and this is a kid where you can tell he doesn't know baseball, but he'll argue with me over nothing. He just goes, well, how many rings does Mike Trout have? How many postseason wins does Mike Trout have? And I'm tired of hearing that. So I'd like to see. I don't want to see him get a ring because that'll put a damper on my day, but. Right. I'd like to see him in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Do you guys think Matt Van Sturgeon now signing on with them as the full-time announcer is probably going to put them over the top, right? Probably going to get them.
I love that move for them.
It is a big-time move for them.
I had a tweet earlier. I said his calls of Trout 3-run homers that cut the deficit from 11-3 to 11-6 are going to be so awesome.
Yeah,
The Santa Maria, and you look at the scoreboard and they're still down like 6 runs is going to be electric.
Mm-hmm.
Can't wait for that.
I can't believe they traded.
You guys see falling short of expectations?
Let me take a quick.
The ones that I was looking at are in the Central. So I mean, we can always just kind of rag on the Twins. It seems like. I mean, it's just kind of what we do. Yankees fans especially. We just look at the Twins and we're like, "What are you guys doing? You just haven't been able to win a postseason game, and God knows how long." Minnesota just seems like terrible sports. But another one that I'm kind of like looking at, and they're uber talented, like crazy talented, but we haven't really seen the White Sox play more than 60 games and be that elite. So yes, they are uber talented, are going to be very good, but like, do we really see, because I see reports of like the over under on them is 90.5 wins. And then we see Tim Anderson coming out talking wild spicy on social media and saying all this stuff and thinking like, compare us with the Yankees. It's like, all right, calm down, slow your roll. Like, let's see you guys put this together. And I saw like a projection of their starting staff. They got possible Cy Young winners, and obviously Giolito's great. And I don't know. I'm just not like, I think that they're, because the Central is obviously diminished now, but I'm just saying in terms of lofty expectations of like competing with the Yankees for the championship series, I'm like, okay, like we'll see what happens, but I'm not ready to say like these guys are up there with them talent wise and even pitching staff wise. I mean, they still got young guys in that system, and it's like, Yankees have been around the block compared to them. So that's why, but I could easily see them being dirty this year. Like, but I would just say, preface it with like, let's slow it down with Tim.
And Rob, for the same reason you just gave, that we've only seen 60 games out of the White Sox, I do think they will be pretty good because, like you said, the Central's diminished, and I trust their starting rotation. But a team that I think is unproven, that people are a little too high on, is the Toronto Blue Jays. I mean, yes, people love to throw out, oh, they only finished a game or two behind the Yankees in the 60-game season. They did get better. They signed Springer. They signed Marcus Semien. They went out and they got a reliever. They didn't address the starting rotation, which is not good and not deep. They have Ryu as their ace, who's fine. Nate Pearson has some promise, but you're looking at a rotation that's featuring guys like Tanner Roark, Robbie Ray. I just don't see the pitching that's there to get them to win a ton of games. I really don't. Even though the AL East might not be the strongest division in baseball, I actually like the Rays more than I like the Blue Jays, just because the Rays have a lot of pitching. I think the Blue Jays are going to mash. I think they're going to be the Canadian Angels, to be honest with you. I think both those teams are going to score a ton of runs and not be able to pitch at all. So I hope this doesn't come back to bite me. I do think the Yankees and Blue Jays are going to have a lot of shootouts this year. And they'll be a competitive team. I don't think they're going to be terrible, but I just don't see, like, I've seen the Toronto Blue Jays and people's like ALCS World Series predictions. I think you're just trying to be reactionary and hot takey with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
What about you? You got anyone that's gonna disappoint us?
So I kind of feel like this is a cop out as well, but it also isn't. The A's, dude, because I feel like last year at one point we were talking about them being potentially the best team in baseball, like 30 games into the season. They were playing out of their mind. And, it's kind of sad to see what they've done this offseason. I mean, they got rid of Simeon. They basically replaced him with Elvis Andrus, which is, his time has come and gone. They've cut a bunch of money. I don't know a ton about the A's, but I just don't see them really thriving in that division. Houston's pitching as well, as much as I don't want to say that it's decent. I think their pitching is going to be all right, and their offense is going to be there. So I can kind of see the A's getting lost and kind of stumbling into a rebuild.
Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that. A team, and Rob, you said it at the beginning. I think that they're going to fall short of expectations from the fact that I kind of forgot that they finished first in the Central last year because the White Sox were so hyped up, but it's the Twins. And I love like kind of ragging on them for the fact that like we, as Yankees, you're right, like we do just like destroy them in the playoffs. But like something that like I didn't even realize this when it happened is that Kenta Maeda finished second in Cy Young voting last year. Like I kind of like totally forgot about that. He led the league in WHIP. He had a 2.7 ERA. Like he's a good pitcher. I don't think he repeats that. And like maybe if Berrios has a better year, but like even like them both bouncing out, like with the White Sox likely coming up a little bit, the Indians still having a relatively competitive team, maybe if they're not what they were in the past. I think that they're going to disappoint. I don't think that their pitching holds up the way it will. Plus, they lost Lance Lynn. So I think they're ready to disappoint us, as they often do.
Just an absolute collapse last year with that playoff game. Unreal.
I mean, the Twins collapsing in the playoffs is a better combination than Tyler Wade and striking out. I mean, it's just it just goes hand in hand. Fun fact: the Minnesota Twins and Seattle Mariners, both playoff wins came at the old Yankee Stadium the last time they won playoff games.
I'm kind of excited to watch the Mariners, though. I'm not gonna lie. I like
the Mariners a lot. I think they are probably my surprise team. I don't think that they're gonna compete for even a wild card necessarily, but I think they're gonna be a lot better than people give them credit for, especially in a diminished AL West.
Mm-hmm.
So we just talked about teams we're high on, teams we're low on. We'll get to a little playoff preview. So knock on wood, I hope that we're back to the playoff format, the traditional wild card, 5 teams. They literally switched up on us 3 hours before first pitch last year, so I'll believe it when I see it because we know Manfred and the owners love the expanded playoffs. We're 4 Yankee fans. I'm just going to assume we all have the Yankees locked in as our AL East predictions, so we won't even
American League champion. American League champion.
Baby.
We'll definitely get to that. As far as the division, if the Yankees don't win it, something has gone horribly, horribly wrong. So, Rob and Tyler, give me your Central winner, your West winner, and your 2 wild card teams. How do you see that shaking
out? So for the East, obviously, point blank, New York Yankees. For the West, I'm gonna go with as much as it pains for me to say, but I would honestly like to match up with them in the postseason as the Houston Astros. I think that their bullpen, they made a lot of very good additions this year that are kind of like under the radar. And it pains me to say because that organization just irks me and it irks all of baseball. But I mean, they still have good players. They lost Springer, who was a big piece of their team, but he's still a very, they still have a lot of players in place that could still hit and that could still put it together and still give them good offense. And then for the Central, even though I said that they could be a disappointment, I really don't see, like you guys were talking about, we were talking about how the Twins are just like inept, it seems like, when it goes to the postseason. I think it's the time for the White Sox to kind of take over. And I think that they'll pull through with the with the division there in the Central. And then for my 2 wild card teams, I'm going to go with the Rays, as I mentioned. And then I think, even though Tyler, you said that they're kind of a disappointment, I do think for some reason they've been doing Moneyball forever, but I just think that they're somewhat of a stable organization, yet they're inept at the same time.
Are they like a mini Tampa Bay Rays?
Honestly, like they are. Like, can you guys? I mean, could you guys imagine like if Tampa and Oakland decided to like spend like even remotely close to what the Yankees do? It would be a difficult situation because they do have really good players in play, and then they just say, "Oh no, we can't. We got to let you walk." So I would probably go with my 2 wildcard teams, Oakland and Tampa there.
And I feel like players would love to play in Oakland too. It's a that's why I said before
they got the new stadium now too. It looks sweet.
It's a shame that they don't pay people. It's bad for the league, but so I got the Yanks obviously coming out of the AL East. That's just a given. I would refuse to pivot any other way. The Central, it's a shame. I think I'm going to have to do the same as Rob. I do think the White Sox are going to be very good this year. They added pitching. Their lineup is ridiculous. I think Tim A is an absolute lunatic, especially I think he's going to go nuts this year because you saw all those shortstop rankings this year, guys, and he was like 8, 9, 7, 8, 9 on all of them. And I think I don't want to say top 3, but he's up there. The White Sox are going to mash the ball. Their division got weaker. The Twins are whatever. The Indians are, a hot mess over there. And then ideally, I would like the Angels to come out of the West. If I'm being realistic, again, I'm going to have to go with Houston, unfortunately. The Texas Rangers are probably the most poorly run franchise in all
Texas
of baseball.
has full fans, man. They're going to bring the energy, full capacity. They're ready to go.
Some of them can play. They're so bad. That team is so bad.
They're not
Rob
selling anything.
Bert and I were doing like the player redrafts where it was like every franchise keeps 3 players and who would you move forward with. We literally didn't even do the Rangers. Like, not only are they fucked in the present, they have no future. It's insane.
Yeah.
We spent about 10 minutes just roasting them.
They've been trying to trade Joey Gallo for like what seems like 3 years.
And they just got a new stadium, right?
Yeah.
It looks sick
absurd.
too. They just hosted the World Series.
Yeah.
I was going to say, during the pandemic, they had a sick video of Joey Gallo taking batting practice in the empty stadium while it was being built. And that's the coolest thing the Texas Rangers will have for the next decade.
Yeah.
For decades. Yeah.
A cool video of Joey Gallo taking BP.
Hanging from the rafters.
And then my 2 wild card teams. All right. Let's see. I mean, I'm going to have to go with, I guess I'll sleep on the Rays, which is going to bite me in the ass, but I'll go with Toronto. Maybe Rue has another year like he's had the last 2 years. I don't think he will. I wouldn't be surprised if he did. And then they kind of just figured it out, I guess, in the bullpen. And then they just count on mashing the ball throughout the year. Because they can beat up on teams like the Sox, the O's, and they'll beat up on bad teams, and they'll be competitive with good teams. And then second wild card, I'm going to have to go with Minnesota. I mean, we know how that rolls. I don't think that needs too much of an explanation.
If we're lucky, Minnesota wins.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's not going to happen. Unless they bring back the old Yankee Stadium, then maybe they'll get one. Bert, what about you? Who you got?
I mean, I'm pretty much the same as everyone else. I mean, all across the board, I can't see the White Sox not winning the Central. In terms of the West, like, I think it's going to be the Astros. They are still the most talented team. I'm with Tyler. I want it to be the Angels, but realistically, it's not going to happen. Mike Trout and Anthony Rendon can only do so much. Ohtani has the year that maybe this Babe Ruthian type player can have. Maybe they can kind of sneak their way as a wild card team, but I don't think they're going to win the West. Obviously, I'm for the Yankees in the East. And then I still like the Blue Jays. I do think that they're going to be one of the wild card teams. I'm a huge fan of Nate Pearson. I do think he's going to have a really, really good year. They added Semien, they added Springer to a team that's just going to get better. Vlad's kind of looks like he lost a little weight, finding his swing a little bit. Obviously, the rest of that infield is still really good, and all that talent in the outfield. So I can't see the Blue Jays not winning it. So in terms of the wild, I'm going with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So for me, like I said, if the Yankees don't win the AL East, we got a lot of problems on our hands. So I'm going to go with them In the Central, I like the White Sox. I like that lineup. I think that they have a legitimate top of the rotation, even if it isn't the deepest. I think they'll be good enough to beat up on a weak Central. The West, I like the Rays. The Rays. The West, I like the Astros. I think that their rotation last year in the 60-game season was a lot better than people give them credit for, even though they weren't great until the playoffs they turned on. They had some young pitchers really step up. Framber Valdez going down is a killer for them, but they did sign Odorizzi to at least somewhat replace him, so that definitely helps. Their lineup will still hit. Then I'm going to go with a Rays-Twins wild card game, just because I think the Rays still have a lot of talent, even without Snell and Morton. I think they'll be good enough to win their fair share of games in the East. And then the Twins are just destined to get to the playoffs and lose. It's just it's a tradition as old as time.
It is a tradition. It is.
Do you guys see like a pitching staff? This is like kind of just all around the AL. But like, do you guys see like a pitching staff right now that like we've seen, like in the past we've been afraid of like the Astros and what they've kind of put together in terms of their top three guys. Last year was kind of like the Rays. I don't know if this year, in terms of like Yankee opponents, if there's a pitching staff right now that is like we're like desperately afraid of, or like we don't want to see in the playoffs. Do you guys feel like there is one right now? I feel like the closest might be the White Sox with Giolito, Lynn, but like I can't really think of one that we've been as afraid of in the past.
Yeah,
those matchups.
The White Sox is the only one that's really been getting any buzz, but like me and Tyler argue all the time over Twitter about our pitching staff and like what happens. And like, like honestly, we go back and forth, but it really doesn't matter because like it is a good opportunity. It's like this is the perfect opportunity for the Yankees to finally get to the World Series, which is like, crazy because we've been talking about them as a great team for the past 4 years. But like to your point, like there's no other crazy pitching staffs. Like in the past, it's been Houston that's been pretty stacked at the top of the rotation. Like we don't know what Verlander's going to do when he comes back. You look at the Red Sox in 2018, they had a pretty good pitching staff with that fake Cy Young for Rick Porcello because everyone knows that he's absolutely terrible. So I mean, when you look at the Yankees, like even though like we bitch and moan about like who could be good, who could like actually like perform well with all these question mark pitchers, like they're clear cut and dry, have in my opinion, and probably for a lot of Yankee fans that may be watching this, have the best potential starting staff in the American League. And then you got to look at the Dodgers and everyone else on the other side. But like there's no other real, I'm trying to think, man, there's not like really any that come to mind. I mean, maybe we're just like completely blanking and people are going to comment like, what the F are you guys talking about? Forgetting about this one. But like, I can't really think of anyone outside probably the White Sox, really. That's the only one.
The only one that like kind of might stand out to me is the Indians, but that's just the fact that they have
Shane Bieber's got to get out of there.
Yeah, they have Bieber, they have Plesac, like they have, I'm sure some other pitcher that we've never heard of is going to come up.
Tristan McKenzie could break out this year.
Yeah, he's a nut.
They have the Indians managed to trade 2 stud starters every year and still have the deepest rotation in baseball. So they actually just churn out starting pitchers, but they just refuse to pay anybody more than literally $60 million. Edwin Encarnacion, biggest contract in Indians history. It's actually insane.
Wild.
Well, like they don't even scare me as much because the Yankees kind of rattled Bieber, in the wild card game. So like I don't really know. Like they don't scare me as much as like the Rays and the Astros did in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Astros can be deep, guys. And unfortunately, like I hate that I'm saying this because I feel like last year we were getting away from Houston kind of being that massive force in the AL. But, Greinke can do his thing. I like Christian Javier a lot. I'm a big Jake Odorizzi fan. Well, I was until he just signed with them. And then McCullers Jr., he's going to pound out innings for him. So I think they could potentially be deep. But, yeah, like you all touched upon, I think the Yankees have the ability to be the deepest rotation with the highest upside. But I wouldn't be surprised if a team like Houston kind of came out the cut and made some big, noise in the pitching department.
I completely agree. I love that. I do think people are sleeping on them as much as it pains me to say it. I think people look at that rotation and think, oh, they've lost Cole, Verlander's hurt, and they lost Keuchel a couple years ago. They're not as good. Well, sure, but they do have Javier there. If Valdez can give them anything, that'd be good. They signed Odorizzi. They have McCullers. They have Greinke. Maybe Verlander gives them something. So the Yankees definitely have the edge as of right now because Cole is here and healthy and Verlander is not. but they have more than enough that you could say, there's 3 or 4 guys in October that we're, kind of scared of facing as Yankee fans. So I think the Astros and White Sox both have the potential to give us problems in the postseason if their pitchers are rolling. But I agree with you guys. There's no Cole, Verlander, Greinke type of combo, or even a 2018 Red Sox rotation that's really looking to slow us down on paper as of right now.
Is Verlander going to pitch at all this year? Is there that possibility? When did he have Tommy? It was like
Tommy.
He waited a while, right?
Yeah,
did he not get it till like maybe August?
He was on the IL for like a month.
I remember like the news came out in like June or July, but he didn't get it for like a month or two. Like he didn't get it right away.
Dusty Baker was playing with the media and just not telling us the truth.
Yeah, so I'd
Dusty
imagine
Baker was trying to fix it. He's like, that looks good. That's a good album.
Yeah, exactly.
He's an old head.
Dusty went in there himself.
So,
but all right, just to wrap up, let's do prediction season. All right, we're gonna do your MVP, your Cy Young, and give me your ALCS prediction. What teams, how many games, and then we'll let you guys go.
Tyler, I'll let you go first. No, I'll let you go first, dude. I gotta think about it for a quick minute.
I'll hammer this. I'm just gonna. No, everyone's gonna hate me for this. So we got MVP, Cy Young, and ALCS prediction, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So my AL MVP, you guys may have heard of him. He absolutely pissed on the ball all 2019. He had 41 home runs. I think he hit like 272. His name's Gleyber Torres. He's a shortstop for the Yankees, and I think he's going to have an absolutely bananas year. If he can stay healthy for 140 games, if he can play, I don't even want to say average defense. If he can play just above subpar, that dude can be a difference maker, obviously, as we've seen. And then for a Cy Young, that's tough.
No, it's not.
I mean, I'm trying to.
It's Garrett Cole.
Don't
overthink it. Give the biased answer. We're not going to judge. It's 4 Yankee fans on here, Tyler. Come on.
Garrett Cole.
All right, I got GC giving me bringing a Cy Young to New York. It's just tough because do we really think the writers are going to let 2 Yankees walk away with the top 2 awards?
Probably not.
Hell no.
No, this is the year.
They'll give it to Ohtani because they'll have like 9 starts and go 7-1 with like a 3.5. They'll be like, that's incredible.
Yeah, exactly. And then ALCS, got to go Yanks, of course. And then I would love to see the Astros. I'm not sold on the White Sox yet. They're too young. Houston's been there. So we'll go rematch of 2017, 2019. We'll do Houston and the Yanks. Yanks take it in 6. And I can tell you we're not seeing the Mets in the World Series. We'll be seeing the Dodgers or some shit.
If we weren't doing an AL breakdown right now, boys, I'd be ranting if we were talking anything about, because these preseason predictions for the MLB has been putting out are absolutely atrocious.
How do you have the Mets winning more games than Atlanta? That drives me nuts.
How do you
have
them
in third?
Unreal.
Bananas.
I'm sorry. Did Trevor Bauer and George Springer and DJ LeMahieu all of a sudden sign with the Mets and we just didn't hear about it? Because like they got Francisco. All right, I won't spend too much. They got Francisco Lindor, Carrasco, and Trevor May. Trevor May's out here calling himself the best reliever in baseball already. I saw his tier list or whatever that he tweeted. And I think it was a joke, but like realistically, they're already celebrating their World Series now in practice. They gotta calm down. But
secondhand embarrassment at its
Crazy.
finest, dude. I couldn't believe it.
Okay.
No comment on the New York Mets. I don't feel it was too nice out today. I'm in too good of a mood.
Insane.
Good point.
But for mine, so obviously I was kind of talking about how, Garrett Cole is just shoo-in for Cy Young this year. I will continue to say that on our pod. Whenever I come back on your guys' show, it will be Garrett Cole this year. I don't care. So for MVP, like it's kind of tough because I could go with like the biased answer and just say Aaron Judge. So that's like a safe pick there. But I would say like, even though I kind of hate this guy, like I really do hate him.
If we're thinking of the same player, I'm gonna be so mad.
I know exactly who you're using.
I do not hate. I hate him so much. I don't know. You could choose a lot from this team. I'm just gonna tell you. You could choose a lot of different players. Alex Bregman.
Yep.
Like
I thought you were gonna say Correa.
No, get out of here. So Alex Bregman, like I'm just gonna be different because like Tyler picked Glaber and so I will say like Aaron Judge is like my heart pick, but like my head a little bit is saying Alex Bregman. But don't be surprised too, Tyler. You mentioned Tim Anderson. Dude could be on a mission this year.
Yeah.
Dude could be on like a huge step. You never know. Just saying. But like I think it's more so wide open in the American League for an MVP this year rather than looking at the National League side. Because you look at the National League, like stacked top to bottom now. Like Nolan Arenado is still there. Soto, Mookie, Tatis. You can go down the line, like crazy amount of talent. Not saying the American League doesn't have talent, but I would say that the National League has a little bit more star power than the American League. So like. Right. When you're looking at the stars, like, I mean, maybe it's the East Coast bias. We're looking at a lot of the Yankees and a lot of the guys that catch attention. But I would say, like, between the three, Judge, Bregman, and Anderson, I'll go with Bregman as my safe pick. My heart pick saying Judge, but then, like, low-key could be Tim Anderson. And then for matchup, I'm dying for this matchup. I want it to happen. I want the Yankees to kick the shit out of the Houston Astros in the American League Championship Series. Please give me that. I don't care how good the Astros are this year and how intimidated it may be. Like for like I don't care. This is our year to get to the World Series. This is the time I want to play the Astros and kick their ass and get to the World Series.
Yeah, love that, Bert.
Oh yeah, baby. Yeah.
So for me, this is the year of the pitcher. I don't know if you guys follow him on Twitter, but I'm a huge Pitching Ninja guy. Yeah. He's one of my favorite accounts. But I do think this is the year of the pitcher. We haven't seen an MVP as a pitcher in a long time. But yeah, the seams are different this year. Every pitcher in spring training has said.
I did hear that
this is the year like that. Like the ball feels a lot different. And with those seams, you're going to be seeing ridiculous two seams. You're going to be seeing crazy curveballs. So I think that we're going to see the best pitchers in the league be competing for MVP, and obviously parallel that with Cy Young. So my MVP and my Cy Young, don't hate me for this, I'm going Giolito. It is an absolute.
I love
stretch.
it.
It is an absolute stretch. In reality, my heart, like you said, Rob, I want to go Garrett Cole. I do think it's going to be him. But in terms of trying to be, book it. In terms of trying to be a little different and having a different pick, I'm going my MVP and my Cy Young as Lucas Giolito because I think the White Sox are going to ascend big time.
I like that.
Paralleling that with the matchup, I'm going Yankees White Sox in the ALCS.
Okay. Cool. I actually like that. So for Cy Young, I am going to go with Garrett Cole. I think the Yankees broke Shane Bieber in game 1 of the wild card series, but I do think Bieber and Giolito are going to shove again this year because the AL Central is so fucking pathetic. So they're both going to be in the running. I'll go with my guy, Garrett Cole. As badly as I want to pick a Yankee for MVP, I think Voit makes a push for it. Judge, Stanton, Glaber. I think that you could tell me that 3 or 4 Yankees could place top 10 in MVP voting. I wouldn't even be surprised.
What about the Gary Sanchez talk, Nick?
Gary
that's been heating up, man.
I'm on the Gary Sanchez comeback train, even though I was off it last year. Gary Sanchez also in 2017, when he absolutely raked, placed 22nd in MVP voting. So we need to pump the brakes on that.
I was telling Tyler, I was like, let's just start with comeback player and like maybe hitting like 240, maybe have a 2 at the starting of your batting average.
And
then like we could go from there.
We need to drop the bar a little bit on him, Jason Dominguez, a bunch of guys. I blame the New York Post. I ripped them in my blog this week, but. So Cole for Cy Young. MVP, I think Bregman makes a serious push for it. I really do. He almost won in 2019. I think the Astros are still going to be good. I think that team's going to have a lot of motivation. But I'll go with Mike Trout because it's Mike fucking Trout, and I'm going to take the cop-out pick there. And then the ALCS, Rob and Tyler, I'll go with what you guys do. I think the Yankees see the Astros again. I do. I think the Astros have the rotation, the lineup. If the Yankees don't make it to the World Series, let alone the ALCS, that is a massive disappointment. So I'll go with Yankees in 6.
Like it.
Let's get it.
All right,
you
boys,
guys getting me pumped up now.
Yeah, no, this was
down to baseball season, baby. Let's
March,
go.
What do we got? March 11th. Yep.
March 11th. Yeah, I don't know when this video is actually going to premiere. I think our plan is like the last 10 days before the season. We're gonna do like 10 videos in 10 days. But you guys are the first one, so you're getting us officially in the swing of baseball season. So boys, thank you for coming on. Click that subscribe button down low, retweet,
let's go.
Whatever it is. Go listen to 4 Train Savages. If you guys want to plug it, or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, where can we find you guys?
Yeah, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Follow us on Twitter at 4 Savages. We also started the Instagram too, so go follow us there. Also, if you guys want some Manscaped, go ahead, get yourselves right. Force Savage at checkout. Get yourself Nick. Nick used it. Rob, I think you should use it too. 20%
I'm
off
looking
with some
into
free shipping. It's a pretty good deal, man. It's good product. Kyle would say so too. It's pretty good.
Hey, it does the job, but I appreciate hopping on today, boys. Thank you.
Yeah, it was a great
All right,
time.
Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
Coming on. Be good.